Peterson has said a lot of interesting things over the last couple of days. We'll see what sticks out to Phil. We'll get his take on the quarterbacks getting equal reps, and I think, this is a situation where I get what he's doing, Phil. I know he's got to get – Wentz has to get some time. He's the number 2 overall pick. He's got to get reps. But it's almost one of the things that you're looking at like, all right, I'm Sam Bradford. I'm the starter. I've never been in this offense before. I'd like to get some more reps if I could, but they have to let Wentz get them. And I'm not saying that there's a controversy or something, but I can certainly see how this would be a weird situation because Bradford doesn't know this offense either, and he probably would like to get the extra reps right now.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. That's a real, fine line here, a real kind of balancing act that Peterson has to pull off. And he kind of said that's the plan, is to get everybody, kind of an equal amount of reps right now, maybe early in training camp, for the early games, because a lot of your backups will play in those. So you want those guys to have some time to get ready for that. And you need to evaluate everybody. You say, kind of point out, it's not just the quarterbacks. I mean, when Wentz is out there with the 13, the other 13 guys, the 13 offensive line, the 13 wide receivers and backs, tight ends are all out there too. So it's the only way to really get a look at all these guys. And you need to see some of the younger guys or the guys that aren't locked to make the team. You need to see them a little bit more this time of year. Then you need to see the guys that are going to really, definitely be on the roster. So it's a balancing act. And Bradford kind of said he understands it, and he's not, doesn't bother him. He's not, not a problem at this point. That you'd like to, as you get to the season, start getting more reps and start being locked down. But we'll see. Because the season starts and it looks like Sam Bradford hasn't quite mastered the offense. Then we'll look back at this and say, well, maybe that didn't go so well. But, if Carson Wentz gets this opportunity and you get a look at him and the coaches feel pretty comfortable with everybody, in that sense, it's working out fine so far. But, when the games come and the football actually counts, that's when you find out pretty much everything. So we'll know then whether this was a mistake or just a smart management maneuver by Peterson.
Yeah, and Phil, we talk about Bradford, and you wrote yesterday about the compelling case as to why the Eagles signed him to a 2-year deal. I know a lot of fans are split on what they were thinking here, but what is your thought process on the case that can be made on why they did this?
Yeah, well, ESPN Sports and Stats and Information, they put out a little thing yesterday about Bradford's numbers compared to the first half of the year compared to the second half of the year. And, we all looked at, the basic numbers, that had been talked about quite a bit, that he really seemed to get better as the season went on. And, that seemed apparent. But when they broke it down even more so, like, in terms of, like, how he did on third downs, how he did when he was under pressure, his quarterback rating was up with the league leaders in the second half of the season in some of those categories that kind of break down quarterback play a little bit, a little bit more specifically. So in that sense, it doesn't make sense. I mean, the people who kind of, and there are people in the media who, vehemently argue against this whole argument. They think it's completely wrong and that, Bradford wasn't that great at all in the second half of the year. But all I would say is if you reversed it, if you had the first half of the year numbers and then got worse, kind of went backwards and started having, more trouble, throwing more interceptions, all that kind of stuff. If that had happened, you would say, wow, man, the guy regressed. He got worse as the season went on. That would be a legitimate reason to not sign him, I think. So if that's true, then the fact that he got better as he got more comfortable with his knee, knew the offense better, knew his teammates better and all that, I mean, all those trends suggest that the poor performance early in the season had a lot more to do with, factors that Bradford couldn't control, like his knee, like, it being a new system. The fact that the Eagles couldn't run the ball for the first few games of the season had a lot to do with it. So I think the fact that he got better and was playing at a relatively high level, I wouldn't say he was Aaron Rodgers the second half of last year, but he was a pretty good quarterback by the end of the season. And, if they had more games, or if he had started, beginning of the season where he did, where he was playing in December and then kind of got better, you might have seen something really special. So, to let him walk and get nothing in return and just let him still be a free agent after that, I could see why, the Eagles just did not want to do that. They're trying to take the chance here that this guy could really pay off. And it's a little bit of an expensive chance to take, to get the kind of money they had to sign him for. But if he does pay off, there's one thing Doug Peterson has made really clear in all this, he does not want this to be, a throwaway season. Bringing the rookie quarterback along. Andy Reid did that the first year. They went 5-11. Peterson started the first half of the year. McNabb started the second half of the year. Peterson's made it really clear. He really wants to, get this team out there and compete. They're not necessarily, expecting this to be a Super Bowl team right away, but he really wants a good season for the whole rest of the team. You got a bunch of guys like Jason Peters, Brent Selleck. Those guys don't want to hear about 5 years from now. They want to hear about this year. So in that sense, I think, the move for Bradford, it takes all the pressure off the kid. We're going to try to draft a quarterback. It takes all the pressure off him this year, puts it on Bradford's shoulders, and lets him, either succeed or fail depending on what he does. And so in that sense, it made sense. But again, there's a lot of money tied up in the quarterback position. I'm not sure they needed all three. Maybe you go without Chase Daniel, for example, if you're going to go with Bradford. If you're going to go with Daniel, maybe you don't need to go with Bradford. But they're on the hook for this money now. So now it's just a matter of letting it all play out and see how each guy does and give each guy basically an opportunity. Bradford will be the starter this year. Daniel may never actually get to be the starter, but Wentz will be the guy down the line.
Right, and I was just talking about that before you came on, Phil, about they brought Bradford here to kind of make sure that this season wasn't a waste, which is kind of what I was saying in the beginning, which is why you might want to give him the bulk of the reps because he's learning a new offense, and if you don't want to throw this season, it would probably behoove you to have your quarterback up to speed. But I also understand the fine line of getting your number 2 overall pick acclimated with this offense as well. And I'll transition into a story you wrote a couple of days ago about Peterson putting his mark on this team. Can you see the identity and the fingerprint of this team? Has it changed over the previous 3 seasons that you covered this team with Chip Kelly?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Kelly era was pretty short, but it was very distinctive. I mean, there was definitely an era about this team that was very different from Andy Reid's many years here, and it's all gone now. I mean, everything that was sort of like the Chip Kelly way, everything that they did, just everybody running to every little thing during practice, they would play music in practice. There's music playing right now. They're just finishing up the practice here now. There's music playing, and it's not unheard of for teams to do that, but it was such a part of the Kelly thing that. It's like the whole Kelly era was basically washed away, in a few weeks basically, and it's not exactly, we don't exactly know what the Peterson era will mean, going down the line when they're actually playing games and stuff, but he's definitely kind of restored what was kind of normal NFL kind of way of doing things, and that's kind of been the main thing I've noticed. It's just it looks like Andy Reid's practices, which we covered for so long here, and Reid hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. Maybe he never will. But he's had a lot of success in the league. He's been, he's run good programs in 2 different cities now, and that way it works. We know that way works. Whether Chip Kelly's way will work in the NFL, we'll never know for sure. In Philadelphia, it did not work here long term, obviously. But you're kind of getting the feel like this is, like the grown-ups are back in charge and they're doing things the way that they're supposed to be done in the NFL. And there's definitely a sense with the defense that Jim Schwartz's mark is on that already. They're just, they're very aggressive. When a play is made against them, they're hooting and hollering and yelling, and they're yelling at the guys on offense and making fun of them. And then it's just a very, very loose and sort of aggressive bunch of guys on defense, and that's refreshing to see after 3 years of that 3-4 scheme with everybody kind of being kind of afraid to make the wrong move or be in the wrong place. Having guys that are just trying to get to the ball, get to the quarterback, and just kind of going 90 miles an hour. That's kind of fun to see again. We saw that for a long time with Jim Johnson over the years, and that's back. So yeah, there's definitely a feeling that this is you kind of get a feel for what it's going to be like. But until you see them actually play in real games and find out whether they're any good or not, it's hard to really get a definite feel for the pulse of the team.
Phil Sheridan, ESPN.com's NFL Nation, and then the Fletcher Cox thing. I mean, he's there. Does it seem like he's begrudgingly there, unwillingly there, or do we plan on seeing Fletcher not only here at the mandatories, but when training camp comes around in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think he'll be here. I don't think it's really grudging. I mean, it's more like this is something that he and his agent talked about, and the agents these guys pay their agents to advise them on these kind of matters. And it's clear that his agent, basically, it was Todd France, and he's a good agent, respected guy, been around for a long time. He's not one of these guys that just shows up, this is the first guy he ever represented. He's a real agent, with real experience. And just, not going to put the guy in a position where he might get hurt. He wants to stay during in May, and never gets the contract that he's in line. That's not very smart on their part. So, he's here, and I think it's more like he feels like he's relieved to be back with his teammates and doing what he likes to do and what he's comfortable doing, being a holdout and having that kind of swirling around him. He's not, Fletcher is a really quiet, very polite guy. He's a real soft-spoken guy. Nothing like the guy who's on the field. He's just a very gentle giant, to use a cliche. And I don't think he's enjoying anything about this, but, he also knows it's probably a smart play. His agent's telling him, hey, just take it easy. We'll get you paid, and then you can go out there and play football. And Peterson said yesterday, which he may regret at some point, is that, he's sure that they'll have a contract by training camp. So they may get that done. They may not, but the coaches kind of put it on the line as, I really expect that to be done. So in that sense, they can get it done before training camp. Obviously, Cox will be here. But even if it's not done and they're close or they've made progress or whatever, I would imagine he'll be at training camp because, that's a serious time when you're really getting ready for the season. And this is a guy that's pretty serious about playing football.
He's Phil Sheridan at Sheridan Scribe on Twitter as the Eagles OTAs continue through tomorrow, and then you can have some time off, Phil. It'll be a nice break, right?
Yeah, kind of looking forward to that, but it's all good.
Oh, boy. All right. Take care, pal. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks.